This is Rugby Merlin and welcome back to the channel. So the teams start out pretty much as we'd expect. Not a lot of injury worries, but Barrett is out for New Zealand, so D-Mac starts at 10. But he's been starting there pretty regularly and he seems to be, like, in general, the first choice. And we'll see how that goes. But for Ireland, the front row looks a little bit weakened. You've got Beelem there, who usually backs up Furlong, and then Kelleher at second row instead of at hooker instead of Sheehan. So we'll be interesting to see how the scrums go. But in general, a pretty full strength side for both teams. So Ireland off to a fast start, and yeah, it's pretty congested at the gain line. Ireland trying to make clean breaks, but New Zealand just putting enough bodies in the way. But they have to be careful, I think, this match. They give away a lot of penalties in the last game against England, and yeah, they're going to want to tighten up the discipline a little bit. And some gamesmanship from Mac Hansen, who is nice to see back in the team. He had a long layoff with the injury, and Ireland get the first points on the board, so it's 3-0 to Ireland. The penalties do even out though, and Berry gives the penalty against Beelem, another questionable one, but it's kicked by D-Mac, who had his kicking boots on today and kicked really well, and it's 3-3. But New Zealand really need to get some wrestle some ball from these Irish players, because so far it's been all Ireland. They do just that, and they attack the Irish, but Irish are flying up in defence and really putting their bodies on the line. Sometimes they look like they're living right on the edge at the breakdown time, and that would be an issue all through the match. And yeah, but the All Blacks do attack, and a bit of a argy-bargy breaks out between the second rows. And yeah, it's a welcome added spice to the dish that's cooking. So yeah, it's looking good. So early on, it's very competitive. New Zealand do get a lot more possession, and the game breaks up quite a lot, especially around the breakdown area. As I mentioned earlier, that was like it's kind of Wild West. Nick Berry let a lot of stuff go, and the game kind of breaks down, and that suits New Zealand a little bit, because they're so good on the counter attack. But Ireland's scramble defense is excellent, and they really work hard to keep the New Zealanders out. But New Zealand definitely working their way back into this game. They miss a couple of opportunities though, and Ireland and New Zealand missed opportunities throughout this match. So New Zealand come away with the penalty and they take the lead, and now it's 6-3 to New Zealand. Now, one of the big stories of the match, I think, was the set piece battle. New Zealand really, I wouldn't say dominated, but as the game went on and there was some drama later in terms of like personnel, but New Zealand really gained the advantage in the match through their set piece play. New Zealand turned over line out ball when they really needed to secure it, and yeah, they really could have done with a score before half time, because New Zealand get another penalty and pull away, and it's 9-3 now to New Zealand. And just when you think New Zealand are shaping up for a score, Ireland put on press on the gas again just before half time, which is, a good call, and they get the result in terms of Jody Barrett, who I think was man of the match. I've got to be honest, he was magnificent. He's such a big fella, but he's such a good all-round ball player, and he goes in a little bit high on Ringrose, slips up off the shoulder into the jaw, and yeah, it was definitely a yellow card, but that is just the kind of break that Ireland needed before the halftime whistle, just to get them a little bit of an edge going into the halftime whistle. It is 6-9, so New Zealand still winning, but yeah, it's going to be a big second half now, regardless. So the halftime summary is that Ireland started very well, but some handling errors, which is not like them, uncharacteristic, let them down, I think, and at the breakdown, Ireland were living right on the edge, and I think New Zealand wised up and matched them in that area. But unless Nick Berry gets a kind of a hold on the game, that breakdown area is going to continue to disintegrate into the Wild West. New Zealand looked really dangerous again when they get the ball. They didn't have a lot of possession in the first 20 of the first half, but as the game progressed, they found their structure a little bit. They looked more and more dangerous. Ireland really need to get a try, I think, early in the second half. Easy to say, of course, but the set piece has been a big issue for Ireland. Bealham, he's a good player in the loose, but again, scrummaging, and they have a couple of players. Porter's playing amazingly. He's just such a stalwart of the Irish side. But the New Zealand have got a good front row going, and they got some power off the bench too. So Ireland are gonna really have to work hard, I think, to rectify the issues that have plagued their set piece in the first half. So, but it's all to play for. It's a very tight game, and I'm looking forward to the second half. The second half kicks off, and big mistake from New Zealand. They're blocking the chasing runners from Ireland, and penalties given. Stick it in the corner nicely from Crowley, and line out is scrappy. I think they almost lose it, or it gets knocked on, and then Kane gets driven over the line, and like a perfect attacking opportunity. You can't ask for anything better early in the second half, and Ireland really need to take this opportunity, and they do. They keep it simple, and Van der Fleer plops it over the line, and a try for Ireland, the first try of the match. So they take the lead now, and that's a big moment in this match. Can Ireland build on this? It's 13-9, and New Zealand do respond, as any good team will. Once they call them great yet, and they have the potential though. New Zealand bounce back, and D-Mac, as I said, he had his kicking boots on. He puts a lovely penalty over, slots it, and it's 13-12, so very close. And after that, it becomes a bit of a chess match. The subs come on, and they had quite a significant impact, I would say. Foley at 10 in place of Crowley. That was a big one. And also the front row. Now, the front row sub came on, I think, at loosehead for O'Toole, for Bealham. And I think Bealham would be glad of his rest, and he would have gone off thinking, oh yeah, I've earned that kind of thing playing against New Zealand. But unfortunately, O'Toole gets KO'd by Satiti's shoulder, and Satiti played well again, and and then Bealham was back on. Now he didn't look ready for it at all, and he looked like he didn't want to be there, and I don't blame him. I gotta be honest, if you've ever come on after being subbed, it's a terrible feeling because you're kind of winding down, adrenaline levels are dropping and things like that, and it wasn't a good look for Ireland. This scrum had already been struggling, and I just added fuel to the fire, and New Zealand really dominated that area for the rest of the match. New Zealand start to turn the screw, and they get a couple of penalties on the bounce, and now it's 13-18. So Ireland really need to respond, but New Zealand have a lot of ball. I mean, the set piece dominance it pays off, and they put the phases together. They show some great hands, which is classic New Zealand, but they play well, and they go from touchline to touchline, coast to coast, as they say, and works out well for Will Jordan, who, as he always does, seems to be on the end of a move and finishes it off brilliantly. 13-23 with about 10 minutes to go. So Ireland really in a hole now, and it's going to be interesting to see whether they can dig themselves out of it. There's a good final hurrah from Ireland. They finally up the tempo and try and put the ball through hands, but again, they're a little bit rusty. and mistakes let them down, and they're not able to score, and the score finishes 13-23 to New Zealand, which I think was well deserved, and they were the better team on the day. They adapted to the conditions, and they were a little bit shaky in the first 20 minutes, and I think Ireland had the better of them. But from that point on, I think particularly the set piece and Ireland not being able to secure a first phase ball, that really cost them, and ultimately they paid the price, and New Zealand took the win. So Ireland definitely could have done with a few more warm-up games, I think, because this was a very significant match. There's a big rivalry growing between these two nations. Of course, All Blacks have rivalries with everybody, because everybody wants to beat them. But a little bit disappointed we didn't see the best of Ireland. But New Zealand have a high ceiling as well. There's some great players, and I'm looking forward to the next match. This weekend is jam-packed, so let's go. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.